Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack an absolute masterclass in short-form emotional storytelling. We are looking at a fully detailed, cinematic cartoon script designed for a 60 to 90-second animated video. It's called The Puppy Who Saved the Little Boy. Now, if you've ever tried to write anything, you know that crafting a compelling story in under 2 minutes is incredibly difficult. But this script, it does it flawlessly. We're going to break down this captivating animated script scene by scene to understand exactly how it manipulates tension, visual cues, and dialogue to create a truly unforgettable narrative. So here is the big question. How exactly does a tiny, fluffy puppy become the ultimate hero in just 90 seconds of animation? Honestly, it's a massive arc for such a short runtime. We have to establish a completely safe world, introduce a threat, build up the stakes, execute a thrilling climax, and then deliver a tear-jerking resolution, all before the viewer even has time to check their watch. The secret here lies in absolute efficiency. Every single word of dialogue, every visual choice, and every camera movement in this script serves a very distinct purpose. Let's start by looking at the foundational pieces the writer chose to build this world. Notice how simple and archetypal our core elements are. We've got Leo, a cheerful 6-year-old boy in a yellow t-shirt, blue shorts, and bright red sneakers. Keep those red sneakers in mind, by the way, because they are actually a crucial visual anchor that we'll come back to later. Then we have Buddy, a tiny, fluffy, golden brown puppy with big expressive eyes and a red collar. Our visual style sets the stage with a world built in colorful 3D cinematic cartoon animation, featuring soft lighting and a really vibrant environment. The creators are purposely building a world that feels incredibly safe, sunny, and innocent. And that's totally intentional, because it makes the impending danger feel that much more shocking. This brilliantly illustrates how the script uses time and lighting as a silent narrator. In animation, lighting is quite literally everything. We start in the morning with bright, sunny playtime. The light is harsh, clear, and joyful. But as the boys wander off, we transition to the afternoon, where the sunlight becomes much softer, casting longer shadows as the feeling of being lost really starts to set in. Finally, the story concludes in the evening with a warm sunset on the porch, a beautiful visual representation of safety, relief, and closure. The script uses the natural progression of the sun to mirror the emotional pacing of the day perfectly. Let's see how the environment builds a feeling of unease by contrasting two main settings. In the safe backyard, we have colorful flowers gently moving in the breeze and birds flying across a bright blue sky. It is pure domestic bliss. But as they chase a butterfly, we suddenly enter the deep forest, filled with unfamiliar, giant trees. The script actually notes the camera slowly pulling back here, visually demonstrating that Leo is getting further and further away from home. By contrasting these two environments, the writer immediately strips away that safety net, leaving our characters feeling completely isolated. So how do we get from that perfectly safe backyard to a life-threatening situation? The script uses a classic inciting incident. First, Leo spots a beautiful blue butterfly. It's just an innocent distraction, right? He chases it, laughing, straight into the giant trees. Then, the butterfly, having served its narrative purpose to lead them astray, suddenly vanishes. And finally, Leo looks left, then right, and realizes he doesn't recognize the forest anymore. He is lost. It's a brilliant sequence because it shows how an innocent, playful game of chase can just seamlessly spiral into a terrifying situation for a little boy. Which brings us to the real emotional turning point of the first act. The afternoon light has softened. The playful running has stopped. Leo kneels down on the forest floor, hugs his fluffy companion, and says, "I think we're lost." It's a highly vulnerable, quiet moment. That frantic energy of the chase is totally gone, replaced by a sinking realization. But even in this scary moment, the script establishes the deep bond between them. Buddy licks Leo's face, and Leo reassures him that they will find their way home together. This emotional grounding is absolutely vital for making the climax work later on. But the forest isn't just confusing, it's actively dangerous. The script rapidly ramps up the narrative tension right here. Buddy finds a small path, and they start following it. But pay attention to the sensory details. The path becomes narrower. The camera moves toward the ground, revealing a dangerous cliff completely hidden behind tall grass. The edge is literally only a few steps away. It's a trap set by nature. And the most agonizing part of all of this? Leo doesn't notice the danger at all. Instead, he spots a pretty flower growing right near the fatal edge. So, the crucial point here is this agonizing, dramatic irony. We, the audience, know the cliff is there. Buddy, using his animal instincts, senses the danger, but Leo is completely oblivious. We have to pause and look at the massive physical stakes here.
With the cliff edge hidden in tall grass, will Buddy be able to stop Leo in time? We aren't talking about a massive guard dog here. We are talking about a tiny, fluffy puppy facing off against the momentum of a 6-year-old boy. That physical mismatch is exactly what makes the impending action so incredibly tense.
And then, the script delivers this line, "Look, a pretty flower," Leo says, taking a step forward toward the edge. It's such a beautifully tragic juxtaposition. Leo's absolute innocence, his pure childlike wonder at a simple little flower, creates a terrifying contrast with the lethal rocky drop just inches away. He is stepping right into a disaster with a bright smile on his face. But Buddy realizes exactly what is about to happen. The script calls for him to become utterly terrified. He barks with frantic, desperate energy. Woof, woof, woof. It's no longer the playful bark from the backyard. This is a piercing, desperate warning from a best friend who sees a catastrophe unfolding, and he realizes that barking alone just isn't going to be enough to stop it. This right here is the climax of our 90-second story. Leo takes another step. Buddy doesn't hesitate. He jumps forward, grabs Leo's bright red sneaker with his teeth. Remember I said those red sneakers were a visual anchor earlier? And he pulls backward with all his strength. It is a vivid, desperate, heroic struggle. You literally have this tiny creature digging his paws into the dirt, exhibiting massive courage by desperately pulling backward against the weight and forward motion of a much larger 6-year-old boy. Suddenly, the script hits us with a visceral, auditory gut punch. Crack! A small piece of the ground literally breaks away from the cliff, right where Leo was about to step. Leo looks down. His eyes go wide. The horrifying reality of how close he came to disaster washes over him. Buddy's pulling finally works, and Leo falls backward onto the safe, solid ground. The tension breaks like a snapped rubber band. The aftermath of this is masterfully handled. Leo is on the ground, breathing heavily. He looks at the broken cliff edge, then at Buddy. Tears fill his eyes as he slowly hugs the tiny dog tightly. "You saved me. You're my hero, Buddy," he whispers. Soft, emotional music begins to swell, and golden sunlight shines through the trees. The script shifts the tone entirely, moving from heart-pounding terror to deep emotional relief, cementing a bond between them that will never, ever be broken. Now, with only seconds left in the runtime, the script moves to a really swift and efficient resolution. Buddy's sharp ears pick up a sound. Auditory cues shift from the quiet forest to the rhythmic thumping of a rescue helicopter approaching in the distance. Buddy barks loudly, Leo waves his arms screaming for help, and the rescue team spots them. The scary ordeal is brought to a rapid, believable, and highly relieved conclusion without wasting a single second of screen time. The transition back home is instantaneous and full of joyous relief. They're safely returned, and Leo's mother hugs him tightly. But the most important part of this scene is that Leo immediately points to his tiny dog and says, "Buddy saved me!" The parents, who were worried sick, turn to this fluffy little pet. Leo's father kneels down, pets him, and delivers this perfect line. Then today, Buddy is our little hero. It's the official acknowledgement of the tiny puppy's immense bravery, and it wraps up the family dynamic beautifully. Which brings us to the viral-style ending scene. The sun is setting. Remember our timeline from earlier? That warm evening light has finally arrived. Leo and Buddy are sitting on the porch. Leo gently places a small golden medal around Buddy's neck. The inscription on it reads, "World's Bravest Puppy." Buddy looks at the medal, looks at Leo, and Leo hugs him, calling him his best friend forever. It is the ultimate emotional closure, perfectly engineered to leave viewers with a warm, fuzzy feeling in their chests. And the script concludes with this text overlaid on the screen as the camera zooms out on that warm sunset. Sometimes the smallest heroes have the biggest hearts. It's incredibly memorable because it distills the entire 90-second emotional roller coaster into a single, shareable universal truth. It really begs the question for all of us. What makes a story truly resonate? Is it the grand scale of the adventure? Or is it simply the unwavering loyalty of a friend when you're standing a little too close to the edge? Think about that the next time you see a 90-second animation that manages to make you tear up. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.